Hello, everybody. I'm Allison Bergman,
And I'm Marcelle'S Circus,
and this is Food.
not food. In today's episode, we're going to talk about what are we going to talk about?
Oh, we're going to talk about making the perfect rice,
Right, we're going to talk about how to cook rice in an instant pot.
making terrible tamales.
I made really bad tamales. We're going to talk about my tamales. We're going to talk about a few different things: tomatoes, avocados, cupcakes, and Motley Crüe. So stick around. Yeah, I'll talk about the book. So Allison and I recently published a really very fun, informative, and beautiful picture book called Food, Not Food, a visual journey of real foods and their lookalikes.
I know everybody's shocked that it's called Food, Not Food, right? Because that's the name of the podcast, but
That's the name of the podcast,
that's
yeah.
our
And
thing. That's our jam.
yes. So, yeah, we could talk a little bit about how the book came to be. So, I mean, Allison, maybe you want to tell the story about like why we are involved in this food, not food. Um,
Yeah. Well, first of all, because it's fun.
yes, it
Um,
is.
so, as you might have guessed if you listened to our earlier podcast, Marcel and I go way back. And so uh for me, so I was telling Marcel this story. I work in I work with actors, and I was working with student actors, and they were doing a show, and I sent them away to have a meal break and come back. And I expected them to bring back food, but in fact, they brought back stuff that I would not call food. Stuff that was basically, candy and sugary breakfast cereals and soda pop. And I was like, hey guys, that's not food. There's food and there's not food. And that's in the category of not food. And I kept saying for years, one of these days, I'm going to make a book that's got a picture of something that looks like food, but is really just kind of crap stuff next to the thing that actually is the food. And I told Marcel this story, and she was like, what are we waiting for? Let's make the book. So she bugged me and bugged me and bugged me and said, look, it has to be done. It's a great idea. And she went like she took the idea and ran with it. And she kept sending me these wonderful images of a thing that looked like a food and a thing that really was a food. And she's like, I can't stop. There's a million of them. Here's another one. Here's another one. And so I was like, okay, I guess we'll do it. And of course, she was right. It was so much fun to do. And it was a lot of work, but it was really great because we found these great or sometimes took the photograph of these great foods, beautiful, like whole foods that are found in nature, next to this look like fake foods that pretend to be food but aren't. And then we listed their ingredients, and you could
Right. So that's
see.
the fun part, right?
Uh,
Like you have a picture, like the cover of the book is two apples, a red apple on one side, on the other side, a candy covered apple, which I happen to love, by the way. But so, and on the ingredients list, you have an apple, which is just apple. And under the ingredients list of the candy apple, you have an apple, of course, but there's sugar and dextrose and red 40 and these artificial ingredients. And that's one of the better foods in the book. We we have some
it's
that have
true.
like so many ingredients that they practically fall off the page. But first it's really very interesting and eye-opening to look at these things that look like food, and we're kind of fooled into thinking that, yeah, that's food. I buy it. It's in a package. It's at the market, and I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
But when you read the ingredients, like these are things that obviously you wouldn't have in your kitchen. And this isn't news to anyone. We're not starting a movement. We're just sort of exploring it in a very fun and creative way. And that's what brought us together to talk about, a little bit more about our habits and just becoming a little bit more aware and informed.
Yeah, and I think the funniest part of it that really gets people is it really does fool your eye and fool your senses when you're eating a vegetable versus something that looks like a vegetable or has the word vegetable, veggie in the title somewhere to make you
Followed
think
by the word sticks
it's
or
vegetable.
something like
Right.
that.
Right. So there's like carrots and celery sticks, and then there's like veggie sticks, which are actually like cornmeal that are flavored and colored to make you think you're eating vegetables. Now, you obviously know you're not really eating the vegetable, but you're sure there must be some vegetable properties in there somewhere. And the answer is no, no, there really isn't. If you look at the
Yeah,
ingredients, no.
no. And it seems like the effort there is to just compete with the bag of Lay's and Ruffles or Pringles, which
Yeah,
generally
yeah,
they don't really make any kind of declaration of health at
no,
all. So then you see this other thing on the shelf that, oh, that's fun and crunchy and salty and it's better for me. Not really. And I'm
yeah,
not saying you can eat it. We talked on the last episode about, how I was missing my New York Devil dogs, which are, kind of like a chocolate Twinkie sort of. It's like a combination of a Twinkie and a Suzy Q with a lot less filling and extremely dry and hard to get down. But I loved them as a kid. So, and I would have had them today. They're not coming till next Tuesday. So, am I making a bad choice? No, I'm making an informed choice. I want them and I will have them, but not all the time. And it's still kind of a good idea to know what's in your food.
yeah. And it is possible to consume things that are edible and yet not what we necessarily call food. I guess for me, and what sparked this is what is actual food, right? I mean, we even start the book with the definition of what food is because it has these nutrients, it has the micronutrients. There's a certain level of, protein, carbohydrate, fats, minerals, micronutrients, all those things that make it consumable and nutritious and necessary for our bodies. Maybe not necessarily tasty. Some of them are lovely and delicious. Some maybe not quite as tasty as the salt, sugar, fat trifecta that we find in our favorite, snack foods. But
Very true.
yeah.
Very true. So, yeah, so I hope folks go out and see the book. We're in Southern California. The book obviously is available online and also from our publisher at sweetpepperpublishing.com. And the book is featured right now at Book Soup, world famous Book Soup on the Sunset Strip in Los Angeles. So if you're in the area, you'll see it in the window. It's easy to find and it's a lot of fun. I'm sure they'll hand you a copy, even if you just want to look at it in the store. It's really
And
cool.
and if you think about how funny that is, because soup, like real soup is really good, and like soup in a can or something, not necessarily, some
Are
of
you
it being
not in
food.
my tomato rice soup right now? It's just, this is a
Tomato rice in a can, or you mean like
yeah,
made tomato
no, in a
rice?
can. Yeah, I
No,
I love that stuff. I have it in my pantry.
I'm not saying all canned foods are terrible, and there are some canned foods that are probably better than others. But generally speaking, if you look at the ingredient list and it's got, 60 things in it, and sodium is pretty high in the nutrients list,
Huh, you mean
you know,
tomato soup shouldn't start with sugar? Is this what you're
I think
asserting?
tomato soup candy would probably start with the word sugar.
Ooh, tomato candy. That's nice. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
growing cherry
delish.
tomatoes, and between the
Mm.
effort of the plant, the miracle grow, the water, I got like 2 tomatoes for my salad last week. It cost about 48.50 per tomato. But it
Nice.
was interesting because I had bought, a hothouse tomato at the market, and I thought, "Okay, you know what? I know I have these 2 red tomatoes on the plant. I'm gonna bring them in and do a taste test." And it was incredible because the hothouse tomato, which is very expensive and organic, by the way, had absolutely no flavor next to this, homegrown little tomato.
Interesting.
And I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known really what it was supposed to taste like if, if I didn't
Oh
have
my
it right
God.
in front of me to compare.
The variety of tomatoes out there. So I lived for about 5.5 years. I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was teaching at a university there. And I have never heard of this. It was like my first year there. I was exploring around. It was the summertime. And there really is a thing called Tomato Palooza.
Hmm.
And it's a tomato festival, Tomato Palooza. And I went. And it's like every variety of tomato you can think of. And they have like little taste tester things. You can go and taste the tomato, different kinds of tomatoes. And, they had like family fun things too. But the whole point of it was like, like there's the garlic festival, the strawberry festival. This is like the tomato festival. It's called Tomato Palooza. And I was shocked at the variety of flavors of tastes in tomatoes. And these are fresh, off the vine picked tomatoes. They're still, they're fresh. They were never refrigerated. They were never stored. And so, frankly, any tomato is going to taste better to me. Any going to taste better, like you said, just right off your vine, like yours. But the variety was amazing. I mean,
Did
really,
you have
like,
favorites? What would be your
I can't
favorite?
remember what they were called. Of course, I can't. And some are beautiful and some are funky looking.
Right.
Some of the heirloom tomatoes look really dangerous and they're delicious, but they look really bizarre. But yeah, I mean, so some were sweet and some were crunchy and some were tangy and but none of them tasted like nothing, like
Yeah,
when
this
you buy one at the market.
yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna do the hot house anymore. I think I'll go back to Trader Joe's. I like the small ones, the grape tomatoes and the sugar plum and the Campari are really
Hmm.
nice.
I'll get the ones on the vine. I feel like they taste better. They have
Yeah,
that
this
like,
was. I don't know what happened.
yeah. I
It
get
was,
the organic on the vine at Trader Joe's seems most of the time is flavorful, not all the time.
yeah. I mean, it's weird. Like, really, I would have thought I had COVID tongue or something. That's how dead it was.
I like those little grape tomatoes. I think they're so sweet, and I like the texture of them. I just had those with my lunch today. I had a little thing of those little
Great.
tiny grape tomatoes. Those are delicious.
That's nice. Yeah, I haven't had
Yeah.
lunch yet or breakfast. So it's
Ah,
about, I don't know, almost 2 o'clock, right? In the
did
afternoon for us.
did you have a double dog?
No, no, they're not coming till Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm doing this thing called unintentional intermittent fasting, where I get up in the morning and I immediately jump into whatever project I'm producing or the new book or this. And then the day just gets away from me.
You got to eat.
I know.
I mean, it's so important
Instagram
to
says
eat
I
real
don't.
food.
Instagram said I should fast and have we're back to that again, and have a window of eating.
Yeah,
So
I don't think they mean
they
I
don't
don't
think what?
I don't think they mean don't eat all day and then snarf a box of double dogs at 3 in the morning. That's
Yeah.
probably not what they're talking about.
So, well, I did have sort of like a midnight dinner last night because I went out yesterday and I skipped God, I'm the worst. I didn't eat dinner yesterday, and then I went out to a show, and it was fun. I went to the Roxy on the Strip to see Motley Crüe, of all things, in this very small club as an anniversary for their,
I was gonna
30-year
say, like,
release.
didn't you see the same group in the same place 30 years ago?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. A special. They're doing a few shows, in Hollywood to
That's cool.
celebrate the release, the 1981. So, yeah, it was great. But I got home, I don't know, it wasn't that late, but like around 12:30, midnight or 1 o'clock. I was like, yeah, I got to eat something. And I won't tell you what I ate. It wasn't great, but it's held me over till now anyway. Yeah, so you
Cool.
can develop better habits. In fact, you know, even yesterday at lunch, I had an avocado. This was funny. I bought a 4 pack of avocados and they all got ripe within 4 minutes of each other.
I hate that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know. Totally happens.
So I had to eat a lot of avocados. And here's my avocado tip for our listeners. Um, so I reached to one, it was very, very ripe, and I went to peel off the sticker, right?
Hmm.
Peeled off the sticker, and a chunk of skin came off.
Hmm.
So I was over this thing. I had not cut the avocado in half yet, but since this big chunk of skin came off, I started peeling the avocado. And
Hmm.
the thing is, once you take the skin off an avocado, it's almost impossible to really slice it or cut it properly off the pit.
Absolutely not. You're right.
Yeah, it was crazy. It
Yeah.
was an absolute nightmare. It was kind of like what it reminded me of. Like, remember the original movie Poltergeist, where the ghost hunter is in front of the mirror and he's having a total acid trip and he starts digging all skin off his face and it's just a big effing mess.
Don't
That's what happened
please
with my avocado.
don't make me think of that every time I eat an avocado. I love avocados. Ew, now I'm gonna have to think of that. Yuck.
That's what happened. That's what I had on my hands. I was just
Ugh.
full with mushy, bleeding green avocado all over the place. So yeah, don't peel it until you cut it. But
No.
usually I cut it in quarters and the skin comes off very easily. but they're really great right now. They became ripe really quickly, and it was very good.
I like to get those teeny tiny ones because then you're like, if you eat the whole thing between
Yeah,
all that's left, with the pit and everything else, you just eat the whole thing. And
right.
that way it's all contained.
Yeah, it's hard to save half an avocado because
Yeah,
within a
yeah,
few hours it just looked terrible. You know
yeah.
what? I was at Smart and Final. This reminds me, Smart and Final. Months ago, there was a giant bag of frozen avocados. I guess you can freeze them. Have you done this? Did you ever buy that? I
I
didn't, and I
I have
should have.
not bought frozen avocados. I have bought frozen uh avocado that's been out of the shell. Like you can buy like a frozen avocado in halves without the skin on them. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that's what I think it
Oh
was. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I have bought that. Yeah. It
And
does
you
work.
defrost it and it's good.
Totally works. Yeah. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I've also bought frozen mashed avocado. And I mean, literally you defrost it and mix it up with some salsa, you have instant guacamole. I mean, I think there is something in the texture that changes. I don't know if when you take it out from the defrost, if it's exactly the same. But I don't think because the cells in avocados are so dense, I don't think it makes them burst like it does with some vegetables. So it's pretty close. It's pretty close to the same.
That's good. I'd like to try that. If you do it yourself, if you freeze the avocado, let's say it's ripe, you have 4 ripe avocados,
Mhm.
you're not going to eat them all. Do you have to like coat them with lemon or do anything to them before you freeze them to keep them bright?
I do not know, but it probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm going to
that's
try
the
it.
other weird thing is you scoop them out. I guess you just can scoop them out in lumps and put those in a bag, in a baggie, a freezer bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Uh,
would be
y- have you ever had, and this is how I lived in the South for a few years. Have you ever had deep fried avocado?
no. 'Cause they'll
Yeah,
deep fry anything.
they will. And they did. And it I have to say it was not bad. It was pretty creamy and crunchy and all those things. But I have recently had grilled avocado, and that was delicious. That I don't know. People who don't like avocados, maybe I was born and raised in California, so I can't like I don't remember ever not having avocados.
Yeah,
But I
they're
know like
great.
my husband doesn't like them. He's not a fan. But he's from Brooklyn, so
Right.
know.
Yeah. Did I tell you I went to El Coyote a couple of weeks ago?
Oh
Which is a very
gosh.
famous, very popular Mexican restaurant here in LA. And I went with a friend of mine who's a restaurateur. He's so awesome. He's like, don't say anything to the waitress. Like he brought a tub of his own guacamole.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. He just wanted good guacamole. And it was better. It was great. So like every few minutes, we had the bowl and we were just digging it out from his little secret container and just putting it back in the bowl that was on the table.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, the
Why
things that
why
we'll
go
do.
to a Mexican restaurant and bring your own? Why not
Listen,
just
I'm
eat
all
your
about that.
own?
Yeah, I
That's
know.
funny.
We were talking about that the other day. I said, that sometimes if I go to a particular restaurant, I want to bring my own bagels, even though I'm not eating bagels anymore because of that whole thing last week. Well, listen to the first episode. I don't want to go through it. I don't want to relive it, but I won't be, I'm not going to be eating bagels for a while. But yeah, sometimes you have a favorite thing that you want. Okay, here's a really good example.
Mm.
I don't know if you remember if you were in town, but at the Beverly Center,
Mm.
again, here, like in the west part of LA, there was for many years an all-you-can-eat Japanese buffet, Todai, like they
Oh
have in
yeah.
Las Vegas. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Did you ever go to the one? Now they had a few around town. There was one in the Valley and there was one on the west side, but the one at the Beverly Center was awesome. Did you ever get a chance to go to that one?
I'm trying to remember the one at the Beverly Center. I don't know that I ever did that one. No, I went to the one at Glendale and I went to the one on Ventura Boulevard, but I don't think I ever went to the one in the Beverly Center.
Yeah,
Oh, I take that back. I did. I did. There was like a family birthday and we went to that one. Yeah. Yeah, I did. Oh, that's a big one.
it was, yeah, they took up that
Yeah.
big space.
Hmm.
Used to be the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah,
It
I
was
do
so
remember.
amazing. And we used to go, like, we'd start, you start with the sashimi and the
Hmm.
sushi rolls. And then I would work my way to the hot food, like the fried rice and gyoza and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Then we'd move on to any other cooked, like mussels in the half shell. They had always had these really interesting things. And then you'd kind of look at the dessert and go, okay, before I hit the dessert, which is thousands of little mini squares of different kinds of lemon mousse and key lime mousse and cheesecake and chocolate covered cream puffs.
Which I've always found to be a really odd combination with sushi, but go ahead.
100%. And but like then they introduced crab legs, cold crab legs,
Hmm.
and they were incredible. And for years I talked about, the next time I go there, I am bringing my own melted butter in a thermos, and I'm going to eat those crab legs with melted butter like I am at a seafood restaurant for, a real surf and turf.
Yeah,
Never did it. Biggest that so, you know,
hilarious.
you could ask me, Marcel, is your biggest toe die regret eating for 3.5 hours after they put the big screen TV in? No. Is your biggest regret eating till you wanted to die, having dessert, and then moving on to the crab legs? No.
Okay, I have a today story too.
I'm
So
just sorry I never did the butter.
my family, when I was growing up, we loved sushi. And even when we were kids, we sushi all the time. One of my mom's favorite foods was sushi. So on her 70th birthday, we bought out the main room of Todai restaurant and had a big surprise party for her. The one on Ventura Boulevard, the one that was upstairs. We had a big surprise party for her. But first, talk about like this is my mom was so spoiled. She we ordered her, we didn't tell her what we were doing or anything, but we ordered a limo and we had the limo come out to the front of the house and we picked her up and she gets in the limo and it's me and my sister and my sister-in-law and my two nieces. And my two nieces don't know, they didn't know till the last minute what was going on because we knew they couldn't keep a secret. So my sister told them, and so when my mom got in the limo, that they just started, especially the younger one, started giggling and like she knew this big secret. And so anyway, we drove around for a little while to throw her off the track so she didn't know where we were headed. And we drove through a Starbucks in the limo to like
Oh
totally get her
no.
distracted and so she wouldn't even think about it. And then we wound our way around and made our way to Todai so she didn't know ahead of time where we were going.
That's fantastic.
So we pull in and we start walking up the stairs, and they have like an outdoor staircase. And normally there's like an elevator you can go up in the middle, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh hey mom, let's take the stairs. And my mom's like, really? Like, yeah, let's take the stairs. So we take the outdoor stairs, and she looks up and all the way around above her starts showing up all of her friends. She
Oh.
looks up, she's like, oh, hey, that's so and so. Hey, that's so funny. He's here too. Wait, cheers, you too. She didn't put it together till she got to the top of the stairs. And like 60 of her favorite people
Oh my
were
gosh.
there. And we rented out the main room of the Todai restaurant and had an all-you-can-eat sushi lunch surprise party for my mom. She was 70.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Was
but
she
that's
excited about the surprise
she
party?
she was so excited about it and it was like her favorite thing, so we had to do it. Not all of her friends were really into the sushi thing, so some of
Hmm.
them were like, well, I'm just going to eat this chow mein over here. But the ones
They had a great variety though. They did the
no, they
cooked
did.
food also. Yeah.
They did. No, they did. But the rest of them they were all in heaven about it. I mean, it was a good restaurant. I mean, it didn't some of these like all you can eat sushi are kind of frightening. They're like, "Mwah, no, I don't think so." But it was pretty good quality for being an all you can eat place.
I really
And
thought so. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
Totally
that was
missed that place. I don't know what's going in there now. Maybe a bowling alley, which I have no interest in. Kind of
oh, now
sad.
we have to go for sushi. Marcel,
We definitely should. So,
love sushi.
yeah, if we were back in Fullerton, so for our audience, again, for Food Not Food, for our book, we were invited to be a part of a really wonderful art gallery exhibit in Fullerton at the Muckenthaler Cultural Center. It was a beautiful exhibit curated by Jack Alva called Unsavory, which fell in line very much with us and the content of our book and listing out ingredients of things that, look like food, but maybe really shouldn't be called food. And we did these beautiful prints for them. It was a lot of fun. So when Allison and I went out to Fullerton and we did a book signing there, we took a sushi break for lunch one day. And do you remember the name of that place? Was it in
Yeah,
Buena
I think
Park?
it's called show sushi.
Show sushi, like
Yeah.
SHOW.
Yeah, which is hard to say, show sushi, because you want to
Show
say
sushi.
show sushi. Show sushi.
It
Yeah.
is hard.
I think that's what it was called. It was really, really good sushi. It was big portions. It was very fresh. It was a nice, clean restaurant that it was great all the way around. Really,
Yeah,
really
that
great.
is like one of the best sushi restaurants that I think I've been to. Really, I can't
I
in
know.
years and years and years. And I've
I
had
know.
my favorites.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
It was
Yeah.
really good.
And
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
going to put a note in our description of this show with their information. If anybody's in that area, maybe I think it was Buena Park. Just
Yeah, and
awesome.
I think it was, you said it was a recommendation from the hotel there, like what was
Yeah,
that, a Marriott or something? You were staying at a Marriott, I think, or something.
yeah.
And the
Fairfield Inn.
Fairfield by Marriott, that's it. And
Yeah,
Fairfield Inn by Marriott. And
yeah. I'm a real classy traveler.
the hotel, the person at the front, the receptionist, I think she's the one who said to try it. I
Yeah,
think that's
she
where we
did.
got it.
Because there were
She
like,
was right. It was good.
because there were 100 places within a 3 mile radius of
So
that
yeah,
hotel.
lots of sushi around there. So during the pandemic, I have made sushi rolls in the past. I have a little sushi kit and I make them, but I hadn't made it in a long time. But during the pandemic, I was my mom was living with us and she was desperate for sushi. I think it was a birthday. I guess it was during her birthday. And I felt really bad that she didn't have sushi and we couldn't go out. And so I ordered sushi grade tuna and sushi grade I think it was yellowtail or something from one of those companies. They like do crowdsourced ranches and they have like meats and fishes they're very good, high quality. So I ordered those and I made homemade sushi, sashimi. I made nori rolls. I did the whole deal.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
it was
Did it
not
come to you
easy.
frozen or was it not frozen when you got it?
Oh yeah, no, it was frozen, solid
Okay.
frozen. Oh yeah, yeah, no, like the tuna, it was sushi grade tuna. And that they tell you how to defrost it properly. You put it in water. It's in like a vacuum seal. You put it in water, defrost it, and then you keep it slightly frozen so that it's very easy to cut and control it. So it comes out in beautiful
Wow.
slices and everything. You keep it
Yeah, I
just
would love
slightly
to do
frozen.
that.
And so I cut them and I made sushi rice. I used my Instapot to make really good I used a Calrose white, medium, and it came out, I have to say, with a little white rice, wine vinegar, and all that stuff. And I was pretty impressed.
That's
I was
amazing. Yeah.
like, it was a lot of work. I don't know if I do that for everybody, but
It
for my
does. It sounds like a
mom,
lot of work. I mean, even the sushi chefs, when they go through their training, I think they spend 2 years just on rice before
oh,
they
right.
even slice a piece of fish.
The whole art of rice that's a very complicated thing. I
I have a
mean,
lot of
really,
trouble making rice. I have the Calrose
everybody
also.
does.
I can't do it. And I have a steamer. I have the little rice steamer. And it
Mhm.
just seems like whatever the instructions say, they're just wrong.
Yeah, it's tricky because I think the problem is that they tell you instructions for the machine they're using, but every
Well, there's
machine
an
is
either or.
different.
There's an either or, but then they tell you, like, here's an example. 1.5 cups of rice, 2 cups of water. Now, is it 1.5 actual cups of rice, or is it 1.5 of that little plastic cup that you can sort of see the measurement on and you can't really?
Okay, I will tell you actually the secret that I learned digging around for this.
Okay.
The answer is it doesn't matter. It has to be exactly the same one. So, like, you can't use a liquid measure for the water and a solid measure for the rice. You have to use the exact same amount of both.
Okay. So literally, like, it could be, a glass in your cabinet, right? You could take a drinking glass and do 1.5 of those and fill it again twice as much with water. It's just the ratio 1.5 to 2. Doesn't really matter how much you make, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I don't think it's 1.5 for the Calrose. I think
I think in the
it's
steamer it is, though.
oh, maybe in the steamer. In the Instapot, it's exactly the same amount. But here's the other key.
Is it 1 to 1?
It depends if you rinse it or not.
Well, it just seems to me it's always mushy or chewy.
Right.
Those are my
So
two. I make two kinds of rice.
there's some, I can't remember the website now. There's two, there's a a partnership, two women, I think it is, and they give you the whole background on rice. And so the key that got from them is if you rinse the rice first, which you should, I think in the case of calros, I believe, if you rinse the rice first, you have to count that as part of your water
Well, how am I going to do that?
because it tells you like it's normally 1 cup plus 3 tablespoons. Unless you rinse your rice, then it's 1 cup equal and 1 cup, not 1 cup and 3 tablespoons, because the rice, when you're rinsing it, holds on to water. And then you're supposed to shake it out really, really good so you don't have any extra water because it's such a fragile thing to get the right ratio to do it. In the Instapot, in my Instapot, with the rice I bought and the rice I'm cooking, it's always different, I think. I figured out a way that it works. The medium grain, calrose, equal
Okay.
amounts, and then it like literally is like something like 2 minutes
Okay. Are
in the
you
Instant Pot.
rinsing or soaking?
No, you rinse, you don't soak them.
And it's like 2 minutes, doesn't matter how much there is, right? Because it comes up to pressure either way.
Yeah, yeah, pretty
Okay.
much the same. And then it's really, especially the Instant Pot, as soon as it's done, you have to get it out because it'll stick to the outside. And then the whole art, again, I am not an expert, believe me, but I just tried it a couple of times, is when you get it out, you put it into a bowl, you have to keep airing it out. You have to keep the air coming out of it. That's how you keep it from getting mushy because it
Okay.
keeps
I know
dripping
exactly. Here's
otherwise.
what I'm doing for dinner tonight. I'm going to go to Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
And I'm going to buy some chicken thighs
yeah,
and I'm going to cut them up and I'm going to do the like 8 minute orange chicken thighs in the Instant Pot.
uh-huh.
When that's done, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to call Foo's Palace and order steamed rice. I'm going to get 3 boxes and have it delivered.
But their steamed rice isn't sticky rice. It's not Cal Rose rice. It's
No,
just
it's
regular,
just regular
right?
rice.
So
Yeah,
I
I'm done. I'm not
use.
doing this anymore.
Are you ready for this? Like, maybe you do this too anyway already, but the best cheater rice there is Trader Joe's frozen jasmine rice.
You know what? It had a weird aroma. I mean, it
Really?
smelled like plastic or something. And I'm not saying just once. And I tried the brown also. I'm just not doing their frozen anymore.
Mine come out pretty good. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
You think I got a bad lot?
I don't know. Maybe you over steamed it or something. Maybe you melted the plastic. I
No.
don't know.
Overcooking is not my thing.
Okay.
Undercooking is my thing.
Oh, okay.
No, I
No.
really don't think so.
Oh, I use it all the time. And I always feel bad because I'm like, it's so much cheaper to make my own, but it's so easy and it's perfectly 2 portions.
Yeah, not
And it's,
necessarily. Isn't it like $20 now for a bag of Calrose? It's like
well,
$19.
Cal Rose could be expensive, but the jasmine rice and the brown, right, the organic jasmine rice and the organic brown rice, I use them all the time.
Yeah. I've always heard that jasmine needs extra water.
You mean from scratch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I always just have to look it up every time. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's just too
yeah.
much.
And
I'm going to do that
basmati.
really. I'm just going to order rice.
The basmati rice. I've made the basmati rice in the Instant Pot. That came out really good too.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't used my Instant Pot in a while. Again, we still have this 80, 90 degree. I
I gotta tell you though, I
don't
use it
know.
then
It's
because
hard to cook.
it doesn't heat up the kitchen. And I actually used it last night. Remember when last week we talked about my pasta?
Yeah.
Okay, so I take it back. I didn't use it last night. I was going to use it last night, and I realized I was running out of time because I had to be at rehearsal at 7 and I had waited too long to start it. And even though it's more convenient to do the pasta, the ground turkey pasta in the Instapot, it isn't actually faster. It's just more convenient.
I
So
see.
I started defrosting the turkey and I was like, oh no, I don't think I have enough time. So Charlie was like, here's an idea. How about we actually make it on the stove? And I'm like, what?
What?
So he goes, that way you can brown the turkey while the pasta is cooking. I'm like, well, that's true, but it's going to take more pots and a little more help. So we just dug in and we did it. We got out the pasta pot, filled it with water, got it rolling as the turkey was defrosting. He was like making the ground beef up while I was putting the pasta in. And then instead of cutting up fresh veggies, I threw in the frozen fire roasted mixed peppers and onions from Trader Joe's. That's
Yeah,
like
that's
my
good.
go-to super fast. threw that in with the with the turkey, put all my tomato stuff in for the sauce in there, and then as soon as the pasta was done, stuck it into the sauce and let it simmer for a few minutes. And it was done faster, way faster. But we ended up with a pasta pot and a big cast iron pot and
Right.
mess and but
Right.
so
It's
I kind
15,
of
what it is, it's 15 minutes of eating and an hour of cleaning.
right. Yeah, pretty much. But it came out good. It doesn't have that flavor like an Instant Pot feels like everything's infused, like the
Right.
pasta is infused with the flavors of the tomatoes and stuff. It didn't have that feeling, but it was good.
Yeah, I want to try something in the Instant Pot. My mom had asked me, we were talking about stuffed cabbage,
Mm.
and
Oh yeah.
there are very few restaurants that even, make that. It's really kind of old-fashioned ethnic food. And like I love my mom's, right? Of course,
Yeah.
my mom makes the best.
Right, right.
And, second to that, Cantor's, believe it or not, Cantor's Deli in LA has a stuffed cabbage appetizer. It's like just this one in a bowl, and it's
Mm.
great. It's really great. And stuffed cabbage is a lot of work. And I've thought about trying it in the Instant Pot. And I know
Oh
it
yeah.
expands. I just have to figure out how much I'm going to put in there. Have you ever done that in the Instant
I
Pot?
haven't, but I'm sure it would be great in Instant Pot. It's perfect for the Instant Pot.
Right? Because otherwise, it's something on the stove that you have to watch for
Oh,
hours.
and because you don't have to move anything around in there, they probably will stay together really well.
They'll stay together. They won't be
Yeah.
handled.
I'll
Yeah.
bet you, you could look online and find recipes for it. I'll bet you that's like the perfect thing to make in an Instant Pot.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. I tried tamales. Did I tell you about my tamale fiasco?
No, did you make fresh tamales or did you
I
like try
did.
to heat up
Yeah.
tamales?
No, I made fresh tamales.
Mm, look at
Yeah.
you.
Lard. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm just so, I mean, fucking listen to me here. I am so ill-equipped to make a real tamale. It's absolutely a joke. I tried though. I wanted to do it. I soaked the
And
chilies. Oh, it's disgusting. It's absolutely gross.
disgusting.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
and there was really no part of it that was salvageable, which is sad because I can cook this, I mean, no joke, really. I do cook and I make some great dishes, but like the masa was terrible. It had absolutely no flavor. The shredded chicken was terrible. I don't know. I put that in the deflavorizer for 3 hours and shredded it. So maybe no surprise there. And then even the chilies, like I blended chilies and tomatoes in the blender after soaking them and the whole thing.
Well,
And just no part of it.
I am 100% convinced that you can't make anything like tamales without having like a person who knows tamales there do like you have to learn it from your grandmother or something. You have
Yeah,
to
I
have your
should.
abuela with you
I
to
know.
do
I should.
it.
I should my Jewish abuela
I don't
from
think you
from
could get
Brooklyn to come and show me how to make a tamale.
yeah, those are the kinds of recipes you cannot get from a book. It
No, you
doesn't matter
really
how they
can't.
describe it, it's never going to be the way it is when it's a passed down recipe through, generations and you watch your grandmother make it or your aunt make it or your mom make it and they, the way they make it and the things they do, the texture they know, you can't get that from a book. I don't think
Yeah.
there are certain recipes like that that just aren't going to work.
No, here's what
We
I'm equipped to do. I nailed the shopping list. I nailed the shopping for the ingredients, but just could not assemble them the right way.
yeah.
And I'm a bit spoiled, I'll be honest, because there was a place I used to go down to East LA on Whittier Boulevard. There's a small shop called the La Mascota Bakery.
Mm.
Mascota. It's a pink building, at least it was the last time I was there. Absolutely the most incredible green chili chicken tamales ever.
Mm.
Yeah, I used to go when I worked at the Wall Street Journal many years ago. I used to take orders from everybody. Like one day, I don't know,
Mm.
somebody brought them in, or I found this place, and we're like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So everybody would throw in their money. I had to print up order forms, and everybody was buying like 4 or 5 dozen of these tamales. They sent me out for 300 tamales, and I would bring them back, and we would free. I mean, they were just great. They were
They're so
that
good.
great. Yeah, really incredible. And then, I had a friend whose family was from, I want to say Honduras,
Mm.
and they did their tamales, but they had like chicken bones in them. So I don't know if
Hmm.
anybody's from Honduras. Maybe you can explain to me why you would have a tamale I mean, you
That's
could
interesting.
debone the chicken. It seems odd if you're biting into masa
Yeah.
that you would leave the bone in. That was a little bit hard to eat.
So I remember, I have a very eclectic family, people of all races and religions and gender identities and everything else. It's just a big, huge melting pot. And when I was a kid, we would have Christmas morning. I'm Jewish. We would have Christmas morning at my aunt's house because my aunt was Jewish, but she married into a Mexican family who were obviously who were not, I don't say obviously, but they were not Jewish.
Right.
So I had Christian cousins, I had Jewish cousins, and my aunt would have Christmas morning. And so we sometimes when Hanukkah and Christmas come at the same time, we bring over all of our presents that were wrapped in blue and silver and blue and white, and all of their presents were in red and green, and we put them all under the Christmas tree. Who cares, right? But the most favorite thing that their family would love is the bagels, lox, and cream cheese that we would bring for Christmas morning. That's right. Christmas morning bagels, lox, and cream
Interesting.
cheese. And one of our favorite things that they would bring was the tamales.
Yeah, Christmas tamales.
And so
That's
that
the
was
thing.
our Christmas morning, Christmas slash Hanukkah morning was tamales, homemade sweet tamales too. They had like the
Oh, the sweet
pineapple,
corn. I love that.
pineapple and
Yeah.
sweet corn tamales, and also other ones, and some that were super spicy. So you had to like figure out what was what. So the fresh made tamales that were passed down from their generations of families, and our bagels, lox, and cream cheese, and all of this on Christmas morning.
That's a feast. That sounds fantastic.
It was
That
great.
sounds really
It was
great.
great. So that was where my first love of tamales came from. It was
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
morning next to my bagel with cream cheese and lox.
Yeah, that is awesome. And again, I guess every village, every town, every cook, every grandma has their own recipe and the way they like to do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of these days we'll go down to East LA, buy 4 or 5 dozen of these things, and
Oh,
you'll
there
try
was,
them and see if they're
yeah.
anything like that.
There was a Mexican restaurant near my house growing up in Burbank, and it was later when we were adults. I remember it was later, and there was a great little Mexican restaurant, little takeaway place. But during the Christmas time of the year, they would make tamales there, and people would start putting in their early orders for them. They were so good. We were like, "How early can we put our order in? You know,
Yeah.
can we
Well,
start in October?"
it's October. You might want to get that moving.
Yeah. Oh, they were delicious. They really knew what they were doing, and it just made some delicious tamales there.
Yeah, I can't believe like holidays are coming.
Ah, I know. I'm not ready for that.
No,
What?
not at all. I don't even
We're in
want
the
to do
last
anything. I don't care.
we're in the last quarter of 2024. When did that happen?
How is that even possible?
Yeah, that's nuts. That's
No,
nuts.
it really went fast, didn't it?
It did. And marking with last week. So last time we talked about we were making kugel, we were comparing kugel recipes, right?
Yeah, yeah, I still didn't make mine. I didn't because it was just too hot in the house.
I
But I got your pictures and I'm gonna get my pictures and we'll post them when they're
I have
ready.
to tell you, it was a huge hit, but I completely had a meltdown because parts of it weren't making sense to me. I was trying to honor my mom's recipe, but of course she never wrote it down. So I'm just trying to remember what the heck she did. And I got halfway through. I took your suggestion of half. I went half ricotta and half cottage cheese. Number one, because I couldn't make up my mind. But number two, because the cottage cheese felt too lumpy. The ricotta felt too rich. So I did
Yep.
half and half. And then I realized like the batter needed to be smoother. So I went and I got my little hand mixer and
Uh-oh.
mixed it up a little bit, which it turned out to be a good thing because it like made it really smooth and airy. And so then when I tossed it in with the noodles, it just got everything coated really well. And it came out really good.
Oh,
It came
good.
out so good that I was going to make a small one and I didn't. I made the large one and I brought it and there were only five of us there. Well, when I went at the end, my sister had divided up stuff. People like to take things home, whatever. What was left for me was like a 2.5 inch square
Wow. Just
of
as
the
a courtesy.
kugel.
That's like a courtesy
That's right.
leftover. Nobody
They,
wanted to be the person to eat
they,
the last
that's
piece.
right. They didn't want to give me the empty container, the empty glass. So
What now was it an edge piece? Because the edge pieces that get a little bit burnt and crispy are highly coveted.
I know, it was an edge piece actually, but I didn't make it too brown. I don't like it to where it hurts your teeth to chew it. So
Yeah, I do.
I let it, I mean, it definitely got brown on top, but I had the cinnamon sugar over the top. So it got a nice little crispy top to it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, sometimes I think when my mom used to make, I think it was a little too chewy on top.
Yeah. For us over here, everybody I know, we all like it crispy, crunchy, true. In fact, I think I might buy one of those brownie pans, that looks like a cornfield maze so that everybody gets an edge.
Oh, right.
Or my
I've seen
I'm going to
that.
try that. I'm going to do a kugel in a brownie pan.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
What
Did you coat your raisins in sugar cinnamon?
I did, yeah, I had the golden raisins and I coated them in a sugar cinnamon mix and I put them in and it came out really good, nice and like I think there were too many noodles, so I took some out. It was too full. I wanted it to
Mm-hmm.
have a little more custard in it. So I took
Yeah.
some out, and I guess what? I put them in a little separate ramekin dish, and I cooked those too. Because my husband doesn't like raisins. So I'm like, I'm gonna make a little part of it without raisins. I just had the noodles and other stuff in there.
Perfect.
And a little ramekin. So it's like a little circle thing. So that worked out too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's so much that you can do. You can totally up level just about any recipe. It's interesting because there's a lot of eggs in there. You could have even put like whipping cream or half and half, and it would have been very custardy.
hmm Yeah.
We
So
got to
I
make
ended
it
up
a
with
little mainstream.
sour cream, cottage cheese, ricotta, eggs. And on the butter front, there's been like some recipes say butter, some say no butter. So I just took like a quarter cup of butter. I just had enough butter just to make it a little good of mouth feel, but I didn't want to put a whole stick of butter in there. I remember my mom didn't do that, and I was
Right.
right. It didn't need it.
Yeah, in
So
something like this, you don't need the whole stick.
no. And some of these recipes were like, melt the whole stick of butter. I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I
No.
do it because my mother's very sensitive to butter.
Yeah.
If I even cut that stick, if I take a shaving off that stick, she'll go, "What happened to the butter?" It's like, you know, like I offer to make butter cookies and we used to use which I don't buy anymore, of course, margarine or Fleischmann sticks or whatever. Like in the old days,
Mm,
that's how they made the sugar cookies. She's like, no, I really need real butter. So I do the whole stick. I don't skimp there. But I almost always forget till the very last minute or at all vanilla extract, which I am out of now. So that's going to get me into the
yeah.
market this weekend.
Yeah.
Did you
I
add vanilla
actually,
extract?
a really a small hint of vanilla, not
Yeah.
much at all. I didn't want it to feel too much like dessert because it really wasn't. I didn't make it super sweet. I didn't use that much sugar. I didn't use a whole cup of sugar or anything like that.
Yeah.
I probably used a third of a cup of sugar and it just didn't need it. It was sweet enough. I don't like it when it feels like dessert if you're eating it with the other stuff.
Right. You made a side. It was a side for the
Yeah,
meal.
right.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do it. I'll do it this week and we'll take some pictures and we'll get them posted up there.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's funny, like in one of my books, I put recipe cards in it for the kugel
hmm
and I forgot to put the vanilla on the card. I don't know why. For some reason, like I just have this thing with the vanilla. It's always the last thing that I think of. And I always have it in the house. I use it a lot. I use it in French
Yeah.
toast. I use it in a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
I use a lot of stuff too. And they
Yeah.
say you really have to add it at the very end before you cook it. Don't add it early. I'm not
Right.
exactly sure why. Maybe it's because the alcohol in it changes the nature of the batter or something. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah. Do you ever buy vanilla beans, like actual vanilla? Did you ever do anything where you had to scrape out the seeds? A lot of
I've done
recipes think
that.
people are going to go do that.
Yeah, I've done that once or twice, but not much. I just buy a really good or I get a bourbon vanilla. The bourbon
Oh,
vanilla
that sounds
extract.
good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think Trader Joe's has it.
I did the
Um,
vanilla beans once to make ice cream, but I think like I put it in the ice cream churner and I over churned it and it basically turned it into like, I don't know.
butter.
Yeah,
Vanilla
butter,
vanilla
frozen
butter.
butter.
Yeah.
It was gross. It's terrible. So I threw out the ice cream maker. But I
Ah,
remember I was thinking, I was going to say, what did we put? Because in Food Not Food, which is our show, and because of Food Not Food is, what brought us together on this topic, although
mhm,
Allison and I have been friends since childhood and have had many collaborations and movies and all kinds of things that we do and
mhm.
writing and TV pilots and whatever. But Food Not Food, because our conversations and the book we did, I was trying to think, what did we do with vanilla? But we didn't put the vanilla beans in the book. So in the book,
No.
it's pictures of food and then pictures of like processed foods that look almost identical. Like macadamias oddly, or hazelnuts kind of look like, Whoppers and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, things you wouldn't even think of. You're like,
But we didn't get the
what?
vanilla sticks in, I don't think.
No.
But
No,
I
we
did
didn't.
buy them once. They were interesting to work with. I don't think I would do it again.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass.
They really are a pain in the ass.
And because you get so little for all your work, you're like,
Right.
you cut it open and you scrape it out and you get like a pinhead.
Right. Yeah, like the seeds, really, that's the whole thing. And
Yeah.
I made vanilla sugar.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have a vanilla bean, you can put it in a bowl with some sugar and it'll make vanilla flavored sugar
Mm-hmm.
after some undeterminate amount of time. Don't go by me. Yeah,
Well,
that's
when
fun.
I was making that kugela, I made too much cinnamon sugar mix. I had some left over. So I have been putting a teaspoon of that in my coffee in the morning.
Nice. That's
And
great.
I'm like, what else am I going to do with it? I have so much of it. So just a little teaspoon of the sugar cinnamon mix in there. Delish.
Yeah, so on the internet, a lot of people talk about, I didn't know that I was poor when I was young, but this is what we had as a snack. And it's like, we took white bread, we toasted it, put butter on it, and sprinkled cinnamon sugar. And it's really funny to me because, I remember doing that. I think a lot of people did it, but I don't think it was really a determining factor about like economic status. I never thought of it that way. I just think cinnamon sugar is great on everything. Why not do that?
Yeah, actually, to me, that was like a treat. Cinnamon sugar toast is a huge treat. Like, yum. Who
Right?
wouldn't want that?
Yeah, who wouldn't want that?
Well,
Exactly, especially when you're a kid. I think all parents knew to do that just to shut us up.
I do think that my mom would tell the story that her grandmother lived next door. They had like a duplex when they were little. And they go out the back door and her grandmother would make like a fresh challah and she'd put butter and a little bit of sugar on it. Like challah really needs sugar. But anyway, she put a sugar and then she'd bring it out to my mom and her sisters, a little bite of that. So that little special thing with sugar on it, I think it was a luxury for people who didn't have a lot of money to even like have extra sugar around. But also they used to do that with matzah, and I remember doing that as a kid, butter and then a little sprinkle of sugar on the matzah, and it's like dessert matzah.
Interesting. You know
Hmm.
what? I think this is maybe just in our DNA. This is something in the heritage because if you potato latkes, a lot of people
Hmm.
put sugar on that.
What?
Yeah, and that's yeah,
I've
you
never
never
heard
put
of that.
sugar. Oh, come on.
I have never heard of that. Sugar
Really?
on latkes?
Yeah. Yeah. In
Mm-mm.
my grandmother's house, they came to the table with a bowl of sugar and a bowl of applesauce and a bowl of sour cream.
That I have never had in my life, sugar
Yep.
on latkes.
Oh,
To
yeah.
me,
Yeah.
latkes are sour cream, or I will tell you what's really good instead of sour cream is ricotta. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that would be good.
it was
I
good.
mean,
Applesauce and ricotta was a great combination, but applesauce and sour cream and a latke. And I can't even,
yeah.
why would
First
you
of all,
pick
I mean, for anybody who doesn't know what a latke is, and for our audience, it's a traditional
potato
potato
pancake?
pancake. It's a potato pancake. It's shredded, but it's basically hash browns with extra onion fried into little discs. That's all. It's not that exciting, right? But I mean, it's fried potato. It's potato fried in oil. It will be good with anything. I think I put a steak on top of it once with béarnaise sauce. Obviously not kosher. But yeah, anything is good on a latke probably.
Yeah, and some people make their latkes with more onion, and some people put pepper in them, and
Yeah.
some other. I think I used to put last time I did this I tried with parsley, a little bit onion, a little bit of parsley, and I use egg. Some people don't, but I use egg in it.
Oh yeah, you have
Um,
to keep it together.
well, some people just make it like a lump of hash browns. And there are
Really?
people who don't
No,
use
I
egg
think
in
you
it.
need the egg and you need some matzo meal or flour, I guess.
Well, so here's what I started using instead of the matzo meal or the flour:
Hmm.
panko.
Oh, it makes it very crispy.
It makes it, yeah, it gives it some air because the panko has dimension to it. So
Interesting.
the panko just gives it some body. They don't like flatten out and get kind of, and that keeps it from getting kind of gooey too. For some reason it just absorbs it. Yeah, I use panko.
Yeah,
for
that's
the
interesting.
binder. Hmm.
Well, good. We're getting into the cooking season, so this is fun.
Oh
We're gonna
yeah,
have a lot of
it's
recipes.
time.
I'll have a lot of, this went wrong things to share, and we'll have a lot of, this was fantastic things to share.
I have my share of kitchen bombs too.
Oh, sure. I don't
Too.
think so.
I've had some things where like, well, that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, my mom's pretty good. My mom is great, but there have been some mishaps along the way. Once she put parsley in a matzo ball, that was just terrible. And then there was
I think I've done
the one
that.
that and the stuffed cabbage fiasco, because you know how much work stuffed cabbage is.
Yeah.
And she just grabbed the wrong, we used to put little caraway seeds.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and she grabbed fennel by mistake. She'll be mad that I even talk about this, I think, but it was very different.
Yeah, but probably
It
tasted
was like
Italian
it was like a sausage.
sausage.
Yeah, it was like
Actually,
Italian
if
sausage
you think
cabbage
about
roll.
it, that sounds really good. To make a cabbage roll with like Italian spices in it and then serve it with a thicker tomato sauce, that kind of sounds yummy. I'm
I'm
gonna
going to tell
try
you,
that.
I'm going to get very philosophical right now for
Okay.
everybody.
All right.
I think the difference between good and not good is intention and maybe even expectation because it's not what we were expecting. And yes,
Yeah.
for sure. I've made, meat sauce and Italian sausages. I've made Italian sauce with ground beef and added fennel seeds, and it gives it that sort of pork and sausage flavor.
Mhm.
It's not what we were expecting.
Right.
And by
Right.
that fact, it made it terrible.
Of course. No, of course, especially when it's an old
Awful.
family recipe. Like my mom also had a great stuffed cabbage recipe.
Yeah.
She has made it, she literally like she stopped making it when we were kids because it's so intensive. But I couldn't like I will have to try to recreate that recipe. I don't know if I ever would come close because my expectation is that one flavor of that kind of spinach, that kind of cabbage, you know?
Yeah, there's a part of the taste bud in the brain that
Yeah.
remembers that will tell you if it's right or if it's wrong.
100%.
Yeah,
We
like once
tried
I
to,
thought I was drinking milk and I reached for a glass. I was I was maybe 10 and it turned out to be lemonade. I mean, that freaked me out.
yeah.
I forgot that I forgot that I had poured lemonade instead of milk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't you
Yeah.
love when somebody says, "Does your husband ever say to you, I think the milk is bad. Here, taste it."
No, he doesn't, but I have had that happen before. Yes,
You're like,
I know.
"No, I'm
Does
not
this
going to
taste
taste
bad?
it. Why
My
would I do
sister,
that?"
when we were kids, she used to be like, "Ew, this is gross. Do you want it?" And I'm like,
No.
yeah, because I love gross things. Thank you very much.
Like my son will do that. There's something wrong with this.
Yeah, here, taste it. This is gross.
Taste this. There's something wrong with it. I'm like, you know what? I could just
I
easily
trust
throw
you.
it in the trash, call Grubhub. I'm fine. I really don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't need to validate that.
Did you ever like, I don't know, in my family when we were growing up, my dad was the one who was like, it's fine. Whatever it was, like however old it was, whatever it was, I'd be like, ew, no. And my mom's like, this is not fresh. My dad's like, nah, it's fine. Everything was like, yeah, it's fine. He had like
Yeah.
an iron stomach. He didn't care.
Yeah, there was no good, like the steak could be gray kind of thing. It's
Yeah,
all right. That kind of thing. Yeah,
that or like,
I don't think I ever checked expiration dates on canned goods till I was 40.
yeah,
Like, all
same
of a
thing
sudden
with
I'm
him.
checking expiration dates on
Yeah,
cans.
yeah. He was all about, he was like, well, it's fine. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'm
No.
the opposite. I'm like, oh, it's 2 days past the expiration, thrown out.
I know. I think that's what I do the same thing. And it looks perfectly fine, right? Like I can have a yogurt. If my yogurt is if it says best by, here's what I think. It says best by this date. If I eat that and get really sick, who am I going to complain to? Because it was right there.
Right.
It said
Well, they
best
say that
by.
they say some of those dates are mean nothing. Like they have to put them on at a certain date to like rotate them in the market or something. They're required to do a certain thing, even though they don't need to. And in some states, it's like if this has to be 30 days, in another state, it has to be 45 days. It's the same milk. It doesn't matter. But in this state, they can only keep it for this many days, and in that state, they can keep it for that many days. So that tells you how completely irrelevant some of those dates are, you
Yeah,
know?
there's a lot of like eggs. Eggs are very confusing. I saw something once where they just took the boxes with the expired date, washed them, and put them in a new box.
Yeah.
And I have someone in my family, she had chickens and she never refrigerated her eggs. They sat out.
Well, they say with fresh chicken, it's fresh eggs that you should have them sit out. You
Yeah,
shouldn't
she did.
refrigerate them because they have this protective coating on them.
Hmm.
And something about the condensation and stuff changes that. You're not supposed to wash them or anything.
Interesting. So,
Hmm.
so nature put something in the chicken's butt to protect the eggs so we could eat them without refrigeration.
That's exactly why they did it, yes.
Awesome.
No, it was to protect the little chickie inside from foreign things.
Oh,
But I'm just saying it's there. And matter of fact, a friend of mine who used to have chickens and he would bring we used to dance at like ballroom dancing and he would bring the eggs from this farm and he'd put a big sign, please do not wash these, do not need to be refrigerated. And they would last because they were all coated.
right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember we used to buy, you could buy double yolks. My grandmother used to buy double yolks.
Yeah. I never knew that you could just buy them double yolks. I would like accidentally get double yolk. If you get the extra large eggs, sometimes they have a double yolk in there by accident.
No, she lived in New York. She had like, she had a butcher. She had a place where she bought fresh chickens and eggs.
Hmm. Hmm.
Literally they were hanging feathered in the store
Yeah,
in,
that's too close for
in
me.
New York. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not a
gross.
vegetarian, but there are some days that I just can't handle things with a carcass. I just can't even. I will if I have to, but it's not. It bothers me sometimes. It
Yeah,
grosses
it's
me
weird,
out.
right?
Just grosses me out.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I go through time, all of a sudden I can't eat chicken or I can't see anything on a bone.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And you know where it came from. You know what someone had to do for you to have it on your plate.
Yeah,
But once I got my hands on it and cutting it and doing all this stuff, I just can't eat it. Eat it.
yeah. I
No.
never felt that way about a Hostess cupcake though.
Right. Well, I can understand that.
I mean, really, in its sincerest form, it just is what it is.
Uh,
And it's always good. Well, so
yeah.
there's my food tips for today. Eat
Yeah.
Hostess cupcakes, order devil dogs on Amazon. You'll be fine.
So we were talking about some Jewish cooking, 'cause also with the Jewish New Year and everything. So I had my latest version of cream cheese and lox I had for lunch today, actually. I buy like a little thing of that lox pieces. It's literally like one serving at Trader Joe's, $4 or something. So I get one of those Ezekiel whole grain tortilla wraps we were talking about, right? Heat it up a little bit so it's pliable. And I spread a little bit of the whipped cream cheese on it. And I put that little 3 ounce container of lox pieces in it, on top of it, and a whole stack of cucumber and sometimes some spinach or some alfalfa sprouts or something. And then I roll it up and I cut it in half and I have my little
That's
lox and cream cheese wrap.
Yeah, that sounds great. What a
It was
nice,
delish.
fresh.
Yeah, it's delish. And I have a little side with those little grape tomatoes and little Kalamata
Mm,
olives. And
nice.
I'm in heaven. And I'm like, I don't need the whole bagel thing to have that experience
Yeah.
because it was delicious and I got my protein in that way. I got my fish oil in there, got my whole grains in there, you know.
So where do we get the Ezekiel wraps? Do they sell them at Trader Joe's or
Oh
you buy
yeah.
them at the market?
No, no, Trader Joe's has them. They're in with other tortillas and stuff. They call them tortillas, but they're really not tortillas, but they're like wraps.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we talked about them last time. I get them all the time. And you just got
Ah,
to heat them a little bit because otherwise they're kind of cardboardy.
yeah.
So,
I haven't been to the market in ages.
what are you eating if you haven't been to the
I really
market?
don't know. Can't lose any weight
Well,
not
let's
eating as
talk
long as
about
you.
what happened with your freezer. So you were going to have power outage,
I
right?
have a freezer situation. Yeah. So I did. I went to the market like 2 weeks ago and I pre-purchased for the holidays like a frozen pumpkin pie, a lemon meringue, and a berry pie. I said, this is it. These three are going in the freezer and that should cover. And then I got a notification a couple of days ago that SoCal Edison is going to turn off the electric out from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. to do some repairs. And I had these three pies in the freezer. And
So
so I texted Allison. I said, I have a very serious situation. I have a problem and I need your advice.
I know. And I was like, do you want to call me? I'm okay.
And she
Anytime.
writes back,
Like,
call me with a question mark, she'll stop her busy day. to deal with this very traumatic situation that I was facing. And I was like, what do I do? Do like I eat all of them this
Well, first
week?
she sends me a picture, right? She's like, it's like I'm ready to handle this emergency call. And then this picture comes up, and
Right.
it's her freezer with these three
Gigantic
frozen
family
pies.
size. Yeah, I'm all by myself here. I don't know who, nobody's coming. Three family size pies in the
And she
freezer.
wants to know, go ahead,
So I wanted to know if I should, before this
eat them
outage
all.
hits, should I
That's
eat
what
them
she
all?
wanted to
Should I eat them all this weekend?
know. She
Yeah.
was waiting for me to give her permission. I said, "Oh
And
yes, you should definitely eat all your pies right
that's
now."
really what it was. And so two I have to bake. I think the lemon meringue you just have to defrost, but the pumpkin and the berry are definitely have to go in the oven. And you have to bake it from frozen too. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I
you
have to
have to.
do I have to do this risk assessment because if it gets to the point of defrosted state, do I just pull the plug and throw it in the oven? All right, but Allison, of course, came to the rescue with great suggestions, right? What did you say
Yeah,
if the
my first
freezer?
thing was do not eat all the pies.
Yeah, totally unhelpful. Her first two suggestions were very unhelpful. Your first two were very unhelpful. The first thing she said was, "Well, don't open the freezer door." Okay,
Yeah,
what's your second bit of advice? Don't eat the pies.
yeah. Yeah, but I have been through a couple of these power outage things. I think when I was in New York, we had a couple. So what I learned was if you keep a couple of bottles of water in your freezer frozen, then the freezer itself acts as a really good uh, ice chest, basically,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm gonna
Even
do.
if it's not turned on, it's an ice chest. And so the frozen bottles of water will keep everything else in there frozen. And also if your freezer is full, it will absolutely keep cold. You don't have to deal with it at all
Yeah,
because
it is
all of
full.
the it's like blocks of ice helping each other things. If you had
Yeah,
one thing in there, it couldn't really keep itself cold.
right.
But when
Sometimes I
you
buy box spinach just for that purpose. I don't eat as many nearly as much as I buy them and just keep them in the freezer to keep things cold.
just for atmosphere.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Last year, my son got into ice baths.
Mm.
He decided that this was helpful, or healthy or something. I don't know. I'm not qualified really. I'm not qualified really, Fran. I'm not qualified to talk about food or cooking or nutrition or ice baths. But he had bought these like silicone, I don't know, ice trays, that hold
Hmm.
like 8 cups of water or 10, whatever it is. And I had two of them in the freezer. And they just were getting in the way, and he kind of lost interest, of course. So I threw one. I didn't tell him, and I threw one away. But I kept one in the freezer
Mm.
for like a year. I thought, if there's a power outage, I'm going to appreciate having this big chunk of ice in the freezer.
Hmm.
Yeah, I threw it out a month ago. So
uh,
yeah,
too
and
funny.
yeah, I'm somewhere between. I'm not a hoarder, but I'm not really a great declutterer. I think I strike a good balance. I mean, you saw pictures of my kitchen today, right?
Hmm.
It basically looks like that most of the time. There's nothing in there. It's pretty neat. But like, oh, why did I throw away that stupid silicone ice
Yeah,
thing?
that's funny.
That would have been
See,
useful.
I'm not a hoarder either, but we also don't throw a lot of things away. We just find a place to stash it. Like I'm like,
Well,
well, yeah, because part of me is like, I'll never use this. Part of me is like, yeah, as soon as I throw it away, I'm gonna want it. So I'm gonna put it in we have like storage room. We'll put it in
right.
the storage room, which is also known as my husband's office. We'll put it in the storage room, and uh, and then if we
And
need
then
it, we
forget
need
about
it,
it.
and then we won't find it. But then if we want it, we can't find it anyway.
And then you can't
But
find it. You have to buy another one.
right, right. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't say we're hoarders, but I also wouldn't say we're like, what's her name, Maria Kondo or whatever her name is like throw it all out.
Yeah, Marie Kondo.
Kondo, Marie Kondo. I couldn't do that either.
Yeah, here's a great update on Marie Kondo. So, for those of you that don't know, Marie Kondo was this expert, the joy of things, does it strike joy or whatever, get rid of it, this kind of thing, declutter.
Hmm.
Wrote a book, sold millions of books about decluttering, and then had kids.
Yeah, and changed your mind.
Yeah, so after shaming all of us for our ugly fucking houses, she has kids and says, "Yeah, you know what? That's not really a priority anymore." Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got it.
yep,
Yeah, when you have
yep.
family around, it's not easy to keep things clean and organized,
No.
and pets and everything else.
No, and there are certain times in your life when you just accumulated too much stuff. It's not like junk or garbage. It's just not stuff you're terribly in love with, but not stuff that you'd want it to go away. It's just like good stuff, but just too much of it.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I'm the keeper of the family archive. I have, pictures of my
excuse me.
grandfather and pictures of I have photos of my ancestors from
Yeah.
19. What do I do with that?
Yeah, boxes and boxes of photos. Me too. Boxes of photos. And then stuff that's like useful but not useful right now. Like I have this lovely corner desk that I loved, but I decided to get a standing desk so I could stand when I do videos. I would like everyone out there to know I am actually sitting right now, not standing.
Right.
But normally I do stand for video calls, so just because healthier. So now I had to move out my lovely corner desk. Well, I'm not ready to let it go yet. So it's like standing up, stuck behind a shelf cabinet thing. But what am I gonna do with it? I got a standing desk now. I don't need it.
Yeah, but you might want to go back to it.
I might. I might, or we might move and then I'll be like, hey, that's be much better in here. Or
Yeah.
I could just totally get over the whole standing desk thing and never
Yeah,
want to use it.
I cannot stand while I'm like working or on a call or doing anything like that. I don't think so. I don't think I would like it. In fact, so I sent Allison a screenshot of my steps this week, right?
Oh yeah,
Did you
I
see
saw
that?
that. And you told
Yeah.
me about 97 steps or something.
So yeah, so I'm producing some digital work this week, and I was doing a lot of editing. And literally, so okay, I don't have my phone in my hand every time I go to the kitchen, but I clocked in on October 8th, 97 steps.
That's just like to go to the bathroom and back, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
So that's funny because on that same day, was I'm in a musical production right now of Beauty and the Beast, right? So we've been rehearsing some of the big dance numbers. So on that day, um I clocked 8,321 steps,
Ooh,
3.4 miles.
that's great. Oh, it
Yeah.
tells you miles? Mine
Oh
doesn't do
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. I clocked 3.4 miles that day. Well, you did your 97 steps.
To my 97 steps, yeah. Well, I got 7,000 yesterday, so things are looking
Oh,
up.
that's good.
I might make it to 60. So, yeah, well, tell us about the show. Tell us about the rehearsal. What was that?
Oh, yeah. So I normally I'm directing or writing or coaching or something like that. I haven't been on stage in a musical in decades. But I didn't have anything coming up. I didn't have any projects coming up, and I'm going to be teaching another master class on performance for musicals because I wrote a book called Acting the Song. I co-wrote it with Tracy Moore, and it's about performing or teaching people how to perform in musicals. So I thought, well, I haven't actually been backstage doing a musical in a while. Like let me just do a little spy, a little reconnaissance and see what that is. And I thought, well, at least I'll go do an audition song, because I do a lot of coaching people on audition songs. I'm like, well, let me just go see what that feels like these days. What's the latest thing people are doing? I'll just audition and see how it goes. So I go and audition for Beauty and the Beast, and I get in. I'm like, oh, now I have to actually do the show.
That's amazing. You're like a master manifester. That's why I love working with you because Allison will say, gee, I wonder what it's like, being in a musical production. No, maybe I'll just go do that. Okay. And like, bam,
I'm like
there
in. I'm
you
like,
are.
okay. So
Like, now you have to
now
do this.
and so not so one thing if you do a lead role in a musical, you're learning a part, you kind of okay, you know what you're doing, whatever. I had forgotten how hard it is to be in the ensemble because
Ah,
you have to like learn all these weird harmonies. Especially for me, I'm not singing the top soprano part. Doing what they call second soprano. It's all the weird harmonies in the middle that you can't find the melody to save your life. And it was like, what? And all the dance numbers and all, I have forgotten how hard that
I
is.
can't imagine. I mean, how do you go from, oh, I'm going to stand in my bedroom in my underwear and do Zumba in front of my computer for 20 minutes. And now all of a sudden you're like on stage with all these people.
Yeah. So, I've choreographed musicals before, but I haven't had to go learn the number with people.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
huge.
oh, you're going to stand on number 12 and you're this close to the proscenium and we're going to do that step. Oh, we're going to modify that step. And you got to go home and relearn the step and relearn the parts. And it's like every day I have to review everything. And yesterday, 3 days ago, I had to go buy the first pair of character shoes I have bought in 20 years.
Character
And
shoes. What is that?
character shoes are like, they're like tap shoes without the taps.
Okay.
They're like a little bit of a heel. They look like they call them a Mary Jane. That's basically show shoes is what other they're known by.
Are
So
they
everyone that
comfortable?
no, they're not comfortable, especially not when you first buy them. Yeah, because they're not really molded to your foot.
Oh.
So I couldn't even get through one rehearsal. I had to do like an hour with them on. Last night, I did the entire run of the show with those shoes on. I wanted to throw them across the room.
Aw.
They're
You
so
should just wear them.
uncomfortable.
You should have worn them when you made the Kugel. Like that's what I would do. I
Oh,
think I would
I
just
couldn't
wear them
stand
around the
it. I couldn't stand
house.
it. Well,
That bad.
I've been doing that now. I just got them anyway. I had forgotten. Like you have to go do that. You have to go buy all your undergarments. You have to buy your tights and your camisoles and your shoes and I'm like, I forgot all that stuff that goes with it, and I'm feeling awfully old. I think I'm the
Oh.
oldest person there in the show. But I'm holding my own. I mean, people are like, "Are you
Oh,
okay? Do you need a
I'm
break?"
sure.
I'm like, no, I don't need a break. I'm fine.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure you're a pro. I'm sure you're great.
But it's kicking my butt a little bit.
Yeah.
I forgot how much work it is. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing, and it
Right. Well,
also is
you'll let
taking
us
a.
know when we get closer so we can let the audience know if we have any
Ah,
folks local. Maybe they no, yeah.
for sure.
Tell them to come see the show.
For sure. So anyway, so it's also throwing off my whole dinner schedule because I'm rehearsing every night. So
Right.
that's
Like
why
me, my whole dinner schedule was thrown off last night because I had to go see Motley Crüe at the Roxy.
you had to.
Oh my God. I mean, like nothing has changed. It's like I'm still 15.
Well,
That's
that's good in a way, right?
that's the first time I went out drinking with Tommy Lee at the Rainbow. Yeah, I was about 15. Oh, so far
Nice.
back I go with this life. Yeah, it's crazy. But it
Yeah.
was a good show. They were great. Whatever
Good.
anybody says about Vince, whatever. Okay, everybody, you know what? Nobody's 16 anymore. It was a great show. Vince Neil was great. Tommy was great. Nikki was great. Everybody was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get a ticket, if you can see this thing, I think there's one more show. Do everything you can possibly do in LA to go see this band right now.
Yeah, because how much longer are they going to keep doing it?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, this was like an anniversary to celebrate the release of their album so many years ago.
It's amazing how long some of these bands have been together. I mean, you think, oh, these are youth bands. They start as garage bands and they're going to be done as soon as everybody grows up. And it doesn't,
Hmm.
some of them, they're still around. They're still doing their thing.
Yeah. Or they break up, run out of money, and get back together.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aerosmith went through a breakup. They came back together, for a long time. Yeah, there's still
Yeah.
some great bands to see. See them while you can.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll have to see the what do they call it? The
The
bands that are
tributes.
the tribute bands.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do a tribute. Just doesn't feel right to me.
No, it's pretty funny. I've
Yeah.
seen a
And
couple
then,
of those, and you're like, well, okay, not
yeah,
exactly
not
like going to the
exactly.
concert.
Yeah. If I want that, I'll just get a bunch of friends together and we'll just jam out the songs ourselves.
Nice. So, what people
Which
don't
I
know,
can
if our
do.
listeners don't know, so besides all the other things Marcel does, Marcel is a bass player. She's a musician. She's toured. She plays in punk bands. She's done studio stuff. She's I always tell her son is so lucky to have the coolest mom in town. It's like, yeah, my mom is a studio bass player who hangs out with rock singers and rock bands. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's totally unimpressed by it.
Well, that's just because he doesn't have to be, because he's your son. He's used to it. But
Yeah. Yeah. I
Marcel
mean,
is my cool friend. I have friends from all different walks of life and all different experiences. I don't have any friends that are cooler than Marcel.
you don't have any friends that played in a punk band and then played in a rock band and
You're it.
yeah.
You're my connection to that
Well, that
world.
was the right. Well, I mean, first of all, growing up in LA, in the 80s and going to the Sunset Strip to see bands again when I was 15 and just falling in love with music. That was just inevitable. That was going to happen. So I did. I started really early and was part of that whole scene, the Sunset Strip, and seeing bands like Motley Crüe and Quiet Riot and Poison. Just they were just friends. We're going to see our friends play the Troubadour like
Yeah,
every other
you
day.
were right in the heart
That's
of
what it
it.
was. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still love to play. It's a lot of
I
fun.
thought for sure your biggest influence was those weekends that we would play guitar together in front of your in your living room.
Yeah, so there's a great photo. We should share that picture of
Yeah.
Allison and I playing guitar together when we were like 13 or 12.
Oh, must have been, yeah. So my dad was a classical guitarist and a purist about it. And he would play classical and jazz. And so, I kind of learned through osmosis, from my dad to play guitar. And so I still have my guitar. I think I still have his guitar even. Then, I can play chords and I can improvise a little bit and I can have fun with it, but I never went past that. I mean, I play violin too, but and I play a little piano too, enough to get me through learning the parts in Beauty and the Beast. Um, but I was always in the acting jam, and Marcel was like always had a foot in the music jam.
Yeah, concert shows, gigs.
Mhm.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. It's still fun. Might go back to the Roxy tonight to see what's happening.
Yeah, definitely. As much as you're in New York, you're so Hollywood also.
I am so Hollywood, I
You
know.
are so Hollywood.
Right. Some it's interesting. It's very
Yeah.
different. If I had stayed in New York, I think it would have been very different. I wonder that, like, oh, if I grew up in New York, what would I have done differently? Well, I might have stayed in college. I
You would have
think I
had
would.
some really good bagels.
Yeah, I
I'm
would have had
just
really good
saying.
bagels. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have spent, the majority of my life playing in a rock band, but there you go. So,
Anyway, all
yeah.
right.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
guess we'll
go
sign off,
review my
right?
music for my rehearsal and figure out dinner tonight. Oh, I
Yeah,
have leftover
dinner. I haven't had
pasta. Yeah.
breakfast yet. It's 3 o'clock.
You should eat some food.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Gonna do it
Yeah.
before
And
my
I
next exciting night.
and I don't mean lemon meringue pie, but that may be, your jam.
I know. Last night, girl dinner at midnight was like a handful of pistachios and I don't know, like a quarter cup of Nestle chocolate chips. That's not good,
Okay.
right?
Well, it's not as bad as you think because you actually those are some healthy fats and you got some of those what do they call them from the chocolate the
Yeah, flavonoids or something.
yeah, flavonoids, and so that's not terrible as a snack. I wouldn't call it dinner,
Yeah,
but
it doesn't
it's a
even qualify
snack.
as girl dinner. It's just
No.
I was on the strip all night and I came home and that's what I ate.
Yeah.
So, well,
Go eat a
thank you.
salad.
Thank you. I will.
Thanks for taking this journey, this food journey with us,
Yeah.
and learning maybe too much about us.
Well, if you want to learn more about food and see pictures of food, check out Food Not Food, a visual journey of real foods and their lookalikes, available online at sweetpepperpublishing.com. And if you're in LA, you can grab a copy at Book Soup on Sunset, and it won't be hard to find. There's a copy in the window.
Okay, so thank you for joining us for Food Not Food. We are your hosts. I'm Allison Bergman,
I'm Marcelle Circus.
and happy eating. Bye.
Bye.